All right. What does it mean? What does it mean to be healthy? What's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Today is the 9th of April, 2026. Yeah, so In the Image Clothing Company, why? Well, to allow the body to work. We're a clothing company only to allow the body to work. Okay, this is the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, 1/4 of us, all right? Allowing the body to work is our slogan, and how and why? Well, clothing, how does this fit into anything with the body? It's the only thing physically placed on the body. Clothing is just a literal word of anything placed onto something else, the way that God clothes the fields with grass. We're designed in the image of God. Being designed in the image of Jesus Christ, we here are a clothing company because we've got joints of body parts that need to mesh with joints of materials, okay? We've got things like ropes introduced to the body, shoelaces or drawstrings, for example, tying one side of a rope over the other, twisting the entire body. You know, we've got a lot of imbalances in modern clothing design in 2026 that are shipped across the entire earth in ways that couldn't have happened in the past before the technology to do that. So these are the reasons we're a clothing company, all right? Because our bodies can get into chronic patterning. Trying to work around the only thing physically placed on our bodies, if the only thing physically placed on our bodies doesn't work the way that our bodies do, this is the thing with the human body. There's only one way it could ever work, okay? There's no opinion to it. It's just the shape and length of the bones and the shape and length of the muscles that connect to the bones that determine how the body works. Bones by themselves are just basically immovable sticks, and they can only move where they connect or join together at a joint, okay? The skeletal system of the body always comes before the muscles because the muscles connect to the skeletal system that already has to be there, all connected first, okay? The bones of the body connect directly to each other through ligaments, and they're only the shape that they are on the ends, and they can only just happen how it does. Like the knuckles here connecting to each other, right? They just mesh only how they do. And if it's off-centered a little bit, or off its neutral position a little bit, out of the way it would naturally work a little bit, right, the body will be damaged. We've got a thin layer of cushioning that we call cartilage between the bones of the body so they don't wear each other out. But if we wear the cartilage out, then we've got the bones trying to wear each other out. Anyway, natural, neutral, and normal are synonyms within how the human body functions and the only way the human body could ever work, okay? God designed the human body to work. The human being is just a mechanical machine placed onto this rock in space that is our Earth, all right? We've got hinges, levers, and rotations, functionality in the body that's determined by something that doesn't change, which is the shape and length of our bones. There's a neutral position, and two sides from there, and everything in the body. Okay, there's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no opinion to it. You know, people try to train the human being. Unless you change the shape and length of your bones, you'll never get anything lasting to happen in your body through something you could call training. You can gain muscle mass, musculature size, or muscle strength by excessively working your body harder than it would need to work for a time. But once you stop doing this, your body goes back to the human body's only normal. All right, there's a normal heart rate per minute, a normal respiratory rate per minute, the amount that we breathe, the normal fat content versus muscle mass amount to have a healthy balance, the normal amount of food that can fit in the body at a time, which is just fuel, and the normal amount of hydration or water in the body at a time, which there's only a proper amount from too much or too little. All right, even through the wind noise, we stand here and discuss these things under In the Image Clothing Company. Blunt, bold, raw, and real. In the Image Clothing Company style. So the point is, yeah, good, Dante, the shade. Dante's here, my current standard poodle, okay? We've got 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company that we title In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. And I'll get into it in this if I do, but there you go. The point really with this video's title is, what does it mean to be healthy? It depends on who you ask. That's the thing. What we do under In the Image Clothing Company is our slogan here under the main side, which is allowing the body to work. You know, and yeah, sure, we talk about clothing, but we have to. because it's the only thing physically placed on us. We also talk about everything else: standing and sitting, walking, breathing, sleeping, eating, hydration, everything we do as a human being. And doing these things naturally, the goal is natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. We're doing all of this, though, anything we do in our lives as a human being, in and through our clothing. So anything you ever address in your life, you're first having to address your clothing. Okay, you're going through your clothing to get to life. It's physically placed on you, right? That's just what the word means, the literal word of clothing. So yeah, clothing has to stay centered, fit correct, and be made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. The human body is only natural. There's no opinion to it. We're just literally the earth that we eat. You eat plants that grow from the earth, or you eat animals that ate plants that grew from the earth. It's a universal law. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. The earth literally becomes the human being. When the human being dies, it decomposes back to the earth. Good, Dante. I'm actually being Dante's shade right now. I'm being Dante's shade. It's pretty warm out here, right? Oh my gosh, this video is huge. Listen to me explain what I'm going to explain in this video, okay? What does it mean to be healthy? Well, what does it mean to be a human being? It means to be literally only earth, okay? Like factually, that's what the body is. It's just earth, okay? So yeah, the point is natural materials are all that exist. It's impossible to create something, really, as a human being. You know, we just take things that were already there, made by God, and we can alter them. Anything natural we can make unnatural as human beings, but unnatural is just natural, undone, you know. So we've got unnatural, artificial, and synthetic, which are synonyms with the word fake, man-made things. You okay? He's okay. Dante coughed. These things are man-made, but only from God-made things can we even change them to being man-made things. We live in this modern man-made world that we place onto God's natural earth, and there's only one way the body works. There's a vertical pole to gravity and a horizontal surface to the planet Earth. This is a 90-degree angle, okay? A right angle, a perpendicular angle, and then the body stands up with a center line that meshes with Earth's vertical gravity pole. We've got a sternum, a spine, a trachea, a nose, and our jaw. The jaw naturally stabilizing the entire body, okay? With musculature going up to the crown of the head, down to some of these first ribs, out to the edges of the shoulder. From our jaw, the jaw is stabilizing the entire body, and it's in the centered line of the body. Good, Dante. Good. Gosh, I love Dante. So there's only one way the human body could ever work. What does it mean to be healthy? This video's title, the 9th of April, 2026, on In the Image Clothing Company's main side. Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on who you ask and what you think health is. That's the thing is, we ask questions here under In the Image Clothing Company. Things like this, video titles under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. What yawning really is. What breathing really is. What really is neck pain? You know, well, yeah, these are some video titles. You know, what is hydration? Or what hydration is? Whether we're asking the question in the form of a question or answering a question in the form of a question, if you can see what I mean. We ask questions like this under In the Image Clothing Company because what does it even mean to be healthy? Well, what are we defining health as? What does it mean to even know what health is? You know, here comes the wind. The thing with the human body is you can address any part of it, but every part of it's there, okay? The human body, even through the darn wind noise, it looks like it's snowing, but they're actually just little leaves, seed things from the trees. Yeah, anyway. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. Everything in the body is there with its own individual role to play, okay? So no compensation can happen in the body. If I've got a foot that's not working properly, my shoulder can't compensate or make up for the role that my foot's not doing by trying to, like, play its function. Everything's got a different function in the body, Okay, so when it comes to what is health to begin with, you know, we can talk about what it means to be healthy. But what is health? Well, the human body is something we have to, no opinion or way to approach it. We have to look at the human body as an entirety, as a whole. It all is there. Anywhere the body's going, every part of it comes. And we can't just drag around dead weight. And so it's got to work how God designed it to. There's a universal human design. Every body has one, and every one has a body. You can have a different one, only from, though, the universal human design, right? You've got an amputation, a deformity, a birth defect, or a major surgery. Anything like this, these are just major things that could set your body apart a little bit. But anything at all that's not like that either, right? That makes you different from how the body should be. And I don't get to decide that, right? But being designed in the image of God, there's a universal human design. The amount of bones, ligaments, tendons, and muscles in the body, and the organs and how they work, there's no opinion to it, you know. They're just being a normal to the body. What I'm saying is, what does it mean then to be healthy? Well, you've got all sorts of different things you could focus on. If you're trying to look at health, you could section it off into different things, but only within the same body that always remains one thing. You've got the heart health, the lungs health, the digestive health, you know, the mechanical ability to just move, which is really just the body doing anything because, you know, that's just the muscles moving. And even breathing, it's the muscles moving. Even the digestive system working, it's the muscles moving. Even the heart pumping, it's a muscle moving. So, you know, when we talk about the body just being a mechanical machine here under In the Image Clothing Company, every aspect of it, even these functions we might think are different than like walking or standing, even breathing and the heart beating and digesting food. These are physical motion, mechanical operations of muscles working, right? So we've got a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main site titled "The Human Body Only Pulls." And the body's musculature that connects to the bones that are already there through tendons, it only pulls. So we pull muscles to close a hinge joint, but we have opposing muscles that also pull to extend a hinge joint. We don't ever push as human beings. We can't physically possibly push. We pull muscles together to extend a hinge. Okay, so the human body only pulls. Anyway, what does it mean to be healthy? Because the point is, yeah, I mean, heart health, this is musculature contracting or pulling, muscle fibers firing with the electrical system sent from the brain to the nervous system of the muscles, right? To tell them to work. The thing is, what does it mean to be healthy? It means your body works. Well, what's our slogan under In the Image Clothing Company's main side? Allowing the body to work. I mean, there's no opinion on how to be healthy. And I'm going to talk about quite a few things in this video to really explain how you can have people seem like they're very healthy that actually might be very unhealthy. I'll say something about it right now. Listen to this. You know, you've got people who run ultra marathons, you know, people who are just running so far and such long distances for quite a decent amount of time, like hours at a time, people are running, right? Physically running with their bodies. You might think these people are healthy, but in a lot of these cases, these people that are running this far and this long, they can maybe run, but maybe they can't even walk upstairs very well. Okay, and maybe they can't sleep very well at all, you know, and maybe they're not staying hydrated even though they're drinking so much water, but they're just sweating it and sweating it and sweating it out, perspirating it out as they run. We've got to know what hydration is, you know. Too much water is damaging, just as too little water can be damaging as well. The thing is, if these people can really run very far, right, long distances for a lot of time all at once, but they can't even sleep well, or they can't even just, you know, get in and out of a vehicle or in and out of a house, getting up a few stairs to get inside the house or down a few stairs. Maybe they can do the motion of running, but they can't even walk up and down like 3 steps very well, just because the range of motion in the bend of their knees and ankles and hips is different than this motion they're trying to train in their body of running. You know, but you might think they're healthy, they're running all the time. Yeah, but they might have a very severe imbalance of hydration in their bodies because they're excessively sweating and they're excessively replenishing the water they're sweating out. Potentially. I'm just giving some context. We're going to talk about this as thoroughly as we talked about in this video, because these are the things that I mean. And then you've got some people on, maybe we could say, the other end, where they don't really do much exercise-wise in their life. They just kind of, live a normal life. They walk around. They just hang out, live a fairly simple life. But they might be much more healthy than someone who's running all the time. But maybe this person living this simple life can't really run all that long or all that far. It doesn't matter if they can do everything else in their life that they need to properly, easily, and healthily. When I say easily, I just mean without excessive strain to do things like get in and out of their own house, up the stairs, and just get a full night's sleep without trying to do something like take supplemental things to sleep, when sleep's a natural thing, right? And we've all got our own individualistic situations. And that's what I was saying when I was talking about how your body can be different from the universal human design. You can only be different from something. There's a universal human design. And this is what we make clear under In The Image Clothing Company. Me, myself, I make this clear, as the founder, and we will continue to, though, as In The Image Clothing Company. Our team will make this clear as well. This is the information we give because this is the point. We have to get as close as we can to the universal human design within our own individualistic situations, because of things like it taking the entire body to stabilize to some degree in every breath we take. That's a point, right? The human body only working all together because it's all there. This actual physical motion, okay, of expanding and contracting the rib cage every time we breathe. Okay. Needing to stay vertical atop Earth's vertical gravity pull, right? The center line of the body is where the bones of the ribs connect into. The bend, the bones of the ribs actually physically bend and move while we breathe. They connect into the center line of the body in the front at the sternum. These rib bones, they wrap around each side of the body and connect into the center line of the body at the spine. And this center line needs to mesh with Earth's vertical gravity pull, just because we've got even opposing musculature on either side of the center line of our bodies. And that's how the body works. There's two sides to it, right? Just like any motion, like the wrist, it comes up or goes down from the neutral. The ankle comes up or goes down from the neutral. The pelvis rotates under us or away from us from the neutral, for example. Everything in the body, there's just a neutral to it. And we discuss it in depth, and this is the point. Natural, neutral, and normal. This is what it means to be healthy, is for your body to work normally, okay? But what does that mean? Well, there's a normal temperature to the body. The body always, or else it's damaged, right? It'll stay at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, always. Always. The internal body temperature of the human being. And so this is what I mean. There's only a normal to it. So what does it mean to be healthy? We could take this video in all sorts of different ways, and we discuss these things where we do under In The Image Clothing Company. But just this understanding of health. What is that? Let's say you've got a really healthy heart. Your heart's working really well, but your lungs aren't. Let's say you've got a really healthy, digestive system, but you can't even stand up very well, and it's things that you could personally do something about in your own situation. If we just focus on part of the body and say you're so healthy because, you eat healthy? You can eat healthy, but is your blood being pumped through your body well enough to oxygenate your whole body? With your heart working proper? There's no kind of opinion to health being a holistic approach, because the whole body is there. It's just literal wording. Like I say, as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, I said it in this video already, the human body can only work activated as a whole. Meaning activation is when the muscles are working. You're either activated in your musculature and you can be alive, or your muscles deactivate and you flop onto the earth with Earth's gravity just pulling you straight down to its surface. Okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's either working or it's not. It's either alive or it's dead. It's all there, or where is it? You know, I mean, yeah, sure, you get an amputated limb, but this is what I mean. Now you can focus on your digestive health all you want, eat all the food that's so healthy in your life, but your body's going to be physically damaged if you don't have a prosthetic limb just balancing out the weight of your body on either side of the center line, meshing with Earth's center of gravity. So even through the wind noise, right? What does it mean to be healthy? Well, it means for the body to work. And so how does the body work, right? We've got a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main site titled Anatomy Understanding versus Fitness Advice. We don't need any advice in life, ever, actually, really. We need truth. We need understanding. The human body is only what it is. It breathes for itself, the heart beats itself, the eyes blink for themselves, the body will heal itself if it gets cut. This is God doing all of these things. We couldn't possibly take credit for it. These things happen when we're asleep, unconscious, even in a coma. You're still breathing for yourself, right? Your body is. God is. Literally, God is. That's how we explain who God is He is everything. Anyway, truly, I mean, all opinions and beliefs aside, you know, you don't have to believe in anything or be religious in the slightest for truth to be truth, all right? Truth is apart from all of us. It's something we don't get to decide or change as a human being, just like the shape and length of the bones in our bodies. You know, so what does it mean for the body to mechanically operate? Well, we've got different length toes, okay? A video's title under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. We roll evenly off the ends of our 5 different length toes because that's why they're there, is to evenly share the weight of the body they're supporting with these arches that grip inward in the feet, opposing the center line of the human being and keep us vertical on Earth's vertical gravity pull. We've got different length fingers that wrap around our different length opposable thumb that's different than the fingers. And the thing is, you know, we've got a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main site titled The Open Palm and Internal Rotation. You know, the hand's only round. And so we've got to use things rounded, living in this flat, modern, man-made world. You know, there's always texture and rounding to nature for our feet to grip arches and for our hand arches to be there, correlating with the arches in our feet. And, you know, the hand arches will affect the feet arches if they're altered, and the feet arches will affect the hand arches if they're altered. So the point is, you know, what does it really mean to be healthy? Because you can talk about whatever you want. Do you know what you're saying? The thing is, we don't have an opinion on it. As a human being, I don't even just mean as In the Image Clothing Company. I mean, as a human being in general, we couldn't possibly have an opinion on what it could mean to be healthy. And this is why it's a problem in modern day, when so many people have different approaches on how to stay healthy or how to become healthy. Well, your body either works or it doesn't. How does the body work? That's what we would call health. A body that's just working pretty well, that's a body that's just pretty healthy. But if only part of the body's working well, it doesn't really matter if some of the rest of it's not working well. Your lungs can work phenomenally, you know, just ideally, just how they should. But if your heart stops working, you die. You have healthy lungs though. Well, yeah, what about your heart? Right? You see what I mean? And this could be anything in the body that is really like life or death like this. You know, the heart, the lungs, you know, the brain, the digestive system. These are things that are life and death. If these things don't work, you die. So you can try to focus on all these things to try to get so healthy. Does that mean that you're just allowing your body to work the only way that God designed it to ever possibly function altogether? Or not? If not, then it doesn't matter what you try to focus on in life to be healthy. Is your body working? That's it. That's the question. I mean, really, we could answer the question of what does it mean to be healthy by just saying, what does it mean for the body to be able to function? Is it doing that? Well, it's probably doing it then. If it's doing it, then it is. I mean, this is as simple as life is, you know? It's like when we talk about hydration as one of the things that means being healthy, you know, the body's made up of the majority of it, which seems kind of weird because water's liquid, you know, and the body's like a physical, tangible thing. But yeah, the majority of the human body is made of water. just hydrogen and oxygen molecules slammed together, you've got a water molecule, right? A water, yeah, you've got a water, right? Wow. So the point is, yeah, I mean, staying hydrated, what does it mean to be healthily hydrated? Well, it's an in-between. You don't want to be overly hydrated, you'll damage your body. Your brain will swell, and your body will be excessively sweating, and you'll be flushing out essential electrolytes and minerals in your body that hold on to and retain water. But you don't want to be excessively dehydrated, or your body doesn't have enough water in it to allow the body to use water for what it uses it for, which is lubrication and functioning of things like flowing of the blood and, you know, anyway, all the things that it just allows the body to do. Water is just something the body uses. There's nothing in water the body can even take or extract. You take anything from the water molecule and it's not water anymore. It's just hydrogen and oxygen. It's just used for functioning in the body. So this is the thing. What does it mean to be healthy through hydration? To have the proper amount. What does it mean to be healthy through exercise? Well, to have the proper amount. This is what I'm saying is people might tell you to try to be healthy, you need to go just exercise, 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 and exercise. If you exercise too much, you're just wearing your body out. If you don't do what we could label as, and this has to be heard correct too, right? But exercise enough, then your body will be damaged as well. On either end, this is what I mean is what's a healthy amount of exercise? Well, it just means using your body to do the things you do in life. There's a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled Physically Weak People. And a lot of the reason for the video, yeah, and a lot of what I discussed in it was we've got a lot of things that are so different in our modern man-made world that make it so we don't have to physically use our bodies as much. You know, modern man-made tools and machinery that are doing the work for us. And through all the technology we have, which will only continually get truly worse, right? If you can see how that's worse in the ways that it truly actually is, all opinions aside. And in some ways it's not worse, but in all the ways that it actually is, it is seen with context. And so that's what I'm saying is, what does it mean to be healthy? Well, you have to be able to use your body to do the things you need to do in your life. If it can do that, then you're healthy enough to do it. I mean, really? Do you see what I mean? This is the whole point. Is who's going to check off your health? You go to a doctor to try to see if you're healthy? Well, what if there were no doctors to go to? How would you ever know if you're healthy or not? I mean, there's some human beings on the earth who never go to a doctor, or something you could label as a doctor, a single time in their entire life, truly. I mean, there's some human beings who weren't born at a hospital or a doctor's office, and then they never visit a doctor, and they live a full, healthy life in like that time period's average human being lifespan, let's say. This happens. And so being healthy can't then be going to the doctor all the time to make sure you're healthy, right? What if there's no modern medicine the way we have nowadays, and there's no such thing as modern doctors? And then not only that, but we've got like first world countries, second world countries, and third world countries. If we're talking about like the technological advancements they have, or the, yeah, right, I mean, societal development, right, if you will, and things like this, you know. And that's going to be that way no matter the time period for human beings. There's always going to be differences to different parts of the earth like this, where you might not even have what you could call a modern doctor on a certain part of the earth ever, maybe. So what does it mean to be healthy? What if you never had a doctor to check you off? You know, you go to a doctor, and you can, is what I'm saying, go get a physical, is what they call it, like a physical assessment. The doctor will check your body out and check out how you can physically work. And they'll check your heart and your lungs and your, you know, musculature's reflexes and your body's ability to just, yeah, function. But what if you never saw a doctor and you never had someone check off, if you will, like make sure your physical health is okay? Well, you're still there, right? Can we know if we're healthy? If someone else doesn't tell us we are? Can we know who we are if no one else tries to tell us who we are in life? You know, it's a separate question, but a similar thing. Do you see what I mean? What does it mean to be healthy? Well, what do you need to do? Let's say you wake up in the morning and you do this thing, that one, and some other things, and maybe another one, and then some more happens and you go to sleep. Well, were you able to wake up in the morning and do all those things? And after you did all those things, were you able to sleep? You're probably relatively healthy. If you didn't have something going on throughout your day that told you, like, man, you better slow down, something in your body talking to you, if you will, like, right? Holy cow, this is too much work, your body's telling you, maybe. And if so, then maybe you've got something that you could say is not working so healthily in your body. But that's really what we need to do is listen to our own bodies. You listen to a doctor and they got all these ideals on what they think your body should do. Well, they're not you. What does it mean to be healthy? Well, it differs from person to person. We've got different natural amounts of fat content and the ways that our bodies carry fat. Some human bodies, carry fat content in a different way. Sometimes human beings' bodies have fat that grows in their body or, gets accumulated in their body, intertwined with their musculature. And some other human beings have separate fat areas and then musculature next to it. You've got these things you could call fatty tumors, where it's just like a lump of fat. It happens in animals, it happens in human beings. So if you're trying to go off of fat content, well, somebody's normal amount of fat content could be twice as much as someone else's normal amount of fat content. You see what I mean? Somebody's metabolism, how quickly somebody's body digests food, can be like basically twice as fast or efficient even as somebody else's natural, normal for them metabolism in their body. So what does it mean to be healthy? Well, who's gonna tell you? You've got a really naturally skinny, slender doctor talking to a naturally and healthily more heavy set, right, body, somebody who carries more fat content naturally, and that's their normal and they're healthy for their individual body. Again, this body, it doesn't exist until it does. It's different. My body is different than yours because I'm over here and you're over there. We're literally two separate beings of flesh, bone, and blood. My body is literally made up of different parts of the earth than your body is. It's just a body. What does it mean for it to be healthy? Who's going to check that off for you? No doctor is going to ever determine if you're healthy or not and be able to be accurate about it, certainly, right? Let me say that very clear. No doctor is ever going to be able to be certain with their assessment of your physical health. You're not them. And they might be trying to measure you to some kind of like ideal amount of workings in something. Like the heart. What does it mean to be healthy? Well, you've got a lot of people that'll tell you a healthy resting heart rate is a certain amount of times that it's beating per minute, when there's other people that are much more healthy and their heart beats a completely different amount of times per minute, just naturally. Okay, so what does it mean to be healthy? How will I ever know? Well, that's what I mean. Who's going to check it off? Let's say there's no doctor that ever exists. How are you going to know if you're healthy or not? I sound so disgusted in this video. I love it. Because this is the kind of society we live in, where people don't even know what it means to be a human being anymore. So many people literally don't. I'm talking literally. They don't. They don't know what it means for their bodies to function. And a lot of this is because of the things that aren't allowing our bodies to function. And this is a lot of the things we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company here. Allowing the body to work. Our slogan here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, right? It's the 9th of April, 2026 today, okay. It's just another date marks documentation under what we call the gift of video, okay, under In the Image Clothing Company, and any of the 4 sides that it is. But in this case, yeah, what does it mean to be healthy? Well, I can't tell you exactly specifics of statistics of where your heart should be and the amount of blood that it pumps in your body and how often it should beat per minute, how often you should breathe per minute, and what it means for you specifically to be able to have enough energy to do this, that, and the other thing, go climb a mountain. And if you can't do it in the amount of time I feel that you should, as the doctor, someone could say, you're unhealthy. What? That's wrong. As in, that's incorrect. That's not true. You know, some human beings could be very healthy, but just not really all that physically capable. We've got different levels of coordination as human beings. You know, someone's sitting there juggling balls. And let me juggle something just because this will be funny. And also just to, you know, really make a point of what I'm saying, you know, to show what I really mean. Some people could never do something like this. Okay. Throw 3 separate things in the air and keep alternating them between 2 of their hands, you know, juggling. Some people could never possibly even train to doing that because we've got different levels of coordination as human beings, meaning our bodies have physical ability to do things we could call like fine motor skills, doing little things with our fingers, you know, playing an instrument. Some people could never do certain things with certain instruments that other people can just naturally do without even practicing really at all. We've just got different levels of capability in things as human beings. We've got different levels of digesting food as human beings, different levels of, like I'm saying, carrying fat content or muscle mass. I mean, I'm not this slender because I am running all the time and losing all the weight that I want to. No, my body just is naturally this slender. Some other bodies might be trying to eat the healthiest things they could possibly eat on the planet, and they might be like 3 times heavier than I am, but the same like height, if you will. Do you see what I mean? I'm not joking about it. Like that's not an exaggeration. You can have 2 human beings the same like height, you know, the same bone length, if you will, of their skeletal system. So they're like the same, yeah. Shoot, do you see what I mean? But one person might have literally 3 times the amount of fat content on their body as the other person, but maybe they're not unhealthy because of any kind of like choice on trying to get healthier. That might just be how their body naturally grows. What is health? I mean, that's the thing. People are so silly about this. What's so silly about it is just trying to have a side to take. That's what I mean. We don't know what we don't know, and you can't be held accountable for what you don't know. That's another phrase we say often under In the Image Clothing Company. That's why we give so much free information under In the Image Clothing Company as well. You know, through the gift of video is usually how that's delivered from us, like this, right? Because, I mean, yeah, you're just not going to know what you're not going to know. But also, maybe you don't know, literally and truly, I understand this. Some people honestly just don't. It's kind of dumbfounding. But some people literally don't understand that human beings are different, like biologically. Well, some people just don't get that people are different to begin with. You know, we're all individuals. Within the universal human design, we still have our differences. But what I'm saying is, I mean, if you think that every body should have a certain amount of fat content and a certain amount of muscle mass and be able to run a mile in a certain amount of time and, you know, be eating these very specific foods, and this is how everyone will be healthy, someone might be saying, that's not possible to measure health like that. We're individuals. You've got men and you've got women, they're different. You've got tall people and you've got short people, and they're different, right? You've got people who yell about things like me, and those that maybe don't as often. But yeah, you've got people who digest food quickly because that's how their body physically does it. It's no say of their own. God grew their body for them, and it only does what it does. And yeah, these people that digest food quickly, you could compare them to people who their physical bodies just digest food slower. There's nothing you could ever possibly do to change that. And you can't compare the two. So what does it mean to be healthy? It means to be able to live your life. If you're able to do all the things that you need to do in life, and hear the wording correct, need to do. Like personally, I don't need to go climb to the peak of these mountains every other day or on the weekends even, right? I mean, I love to hike where I do, but somebody who's trying to get to their body so healthy that they think they should be able to climb all of the mountain peaks every other day of their life, or else they're not healthy enough, right? And I'm not joking about that, like, extreme. Some people take it to that extreme. They think you're only healthy if your body is working as amazing as you could possibly, hear this correct, force it to work. Okay? I mean, this is the truth. Some people have this view on what they think health is. Some people think you're only healthy if you can get all of the exotic superfoods, as they call them, from all over the globe and get them shipped to you or flown to you and delivered to you so you can eat these things and have all of these nutrient densely packed superfoods from only certain parts of the earth that you don't even live on. Some people literally think this is what it means to be healthy. Pack your body full of all these supplemental things that you unnaturally put together as a human being, and then you can try to be healthy. I mean, this is absurd. This is our modern world. Doctors are pushing all these things they try to get you to do to get your body healthy. We say it so very clearly because it's the truth and it's undisputed when you see what we're really saying. Under In the Image Clothing Company, we discuss it's impossible to get the body to do anything. It only does what it does. I'm not going to get my muscles to go farther than the natural range of motion by trying to stretch. It's impossible unless I rupture a tendon or pull a muscle or break a bone or, sever bones from where they connect to each other through ligaments. It's impossible to stretch your body anywhere. I go all the way out here straight with my elbow and my bones hit together. I go all the way out here, all the way in here closed with my elbow and my bones hit together. It's impossible for me to stretch anywhere else. But if your body's not working, activated as a whole in its neutral positions, then you might think you can stretch your body to somewhere. If your body's not allowed to just do all the things that you would just normally need to do in life, you might think you need to try to get so much more healthy. No, you just need to address whatever's not working properly and allow your body to do those things. If it can, in your own individualistic situation. Health is an individual thing on, meeting our needs. What do you need to do? And can you do it? That's why I said what I did. You wake up in the morning, if you can do everything you do in your day, go to sleep at night and get a relatively good night's sleep and wake up the next day and do it again, then you're healthy enough to do what you do. If there's not like all this struggling through it all day, a lot of people will feel all shamed about it, truly. If they can't, run miles in 4 minutes, right? Wow. I don't run, personally. Evan Strong, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, I never run. I mean, unless I'm playing sports, and, I love to play sports, and then it just makes sense, because you run to go grab a ball, or you run to, kick a ball, or something like this, whatever sport it is you're playing, that makes sense. But a lot of people that think you have to run to become healthy, the body is designed by God to work. It should work. That's it being healthy. It's just how it's naturally designed to be. The body should be healthy. We should never have to get our bodies healthy. Yeah, I mean, you can have a deformity. You can be missing a limb. You can, have some kind of like autoimmune disease and you can still be healthy. Well, that's the weird part about it. Let's talk about this. Even through the airplane noise. Am I healthy? Who are you going to ask? Doctors would probably say no. Doctors would probably say, he's crazy. You're right, But that's what I mean is, we talk about things like this. Let's do it. Let's discuss some stuff. Autoimmune diseases. You've got people with certain things like this, diseases and illnesses that are just something that has occurred that's nothing to do with their choices. They haven't become unhealthy, but they've been dealt certain things. Wow, that sounds crazy. Not dealt a bad hand in life, that gets said, but just meaning God gives us certain challenges in life. That doesn't mean we're unhealthy. Let me speak out of personal experience before you think that I'm more prideful than I am. I was born with a hole in my heart. I've had 2 full-on open heart surgeries and 4 other, you could call them more minor heart surgeries. Personally, me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, When I talk about how there's only one way the human body could ever work, and we talk about allowing the body to work is the only option because there's only a normal to the human being, you know, and you'll never possibly get to your body to do anything through training it. It'll always go back to the human body's only normal. These things are all true. Don't believe me. As I say so clearly, don't believe me, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Don't believe any of our information through our team members under In The Image Clothing Company, or even any of our poodles, okay, under In The Image Clothing Company poodles, because truth is truth. And what's really going on? Well, that's what I'm saying here with what does it mean to be healthy, okay? The 9th of April, 2026, In The Image Clothing Company's main side, I personally was born in a state of being that you could call unhealthy. I was born with a heart defect, you know, a congenital heart defect from birth. I had a hole in my heart. I had what's called tetralogy of Fallot. I couldn't even fully explain to you right now at all what that actually means. But the point is, a lot of people just have their own individual things in life, and so people feel so shamed. Someone else will say, you're not running every morning before you go, you know, eat your extremely balanced daily breakfast that you've really calculated to make your body as healthy as it could possibly be. And then you don't go to work and teach other people how to exercise all day and then train them how to get their bodies to do stuff and then sleep on this, like, you know, specialized mattress. And you must not be healthy, you know, and people, this is not a joke. People have this approach to health. That's absurd. That's delusion. And I'm not being mean. It's truly, though, that's delusional. If you think you have to do all that kind of stuff to become healthy, health isn't something you become. Health is something you retain. Hydration, for example, it's not something you get. It's something you keep. Hydration is the amount of water content that stays within the body. You rehydrate a hydrated body, and then it gets dehydrated, and there's two sides of just retaining water. Health is just how the body should be. It should work. You either become unhealthy and you try to get healthy again, or you can try to do excessive things that will always come back to your body's normal. The body's normal as it's healthy. Anyway, I know I'm yelling about this because it's just as real as it is. People feel so bad. It feels so much lesser than others. They'll hear their friends or their coworkers or their, I don't care who it is. I don't care what you're talking about. What's the truth, right? But these people will say, yeah, man, I just got back from this ultra marathon after I did a triathlon the week before. You know, I went on a 3-mile run as a warm-up, and then, you know, afterward I ran on the treadmill too while I was asleep. Right? What are you talking about? You're not healthy. You're crazy. I'm crazy in a different way, but that's nuts. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's not healthy. That's unhealthy. Just like how too much water in the body is not extra hydrated, and it's a good thing. It's not a good thing, just to be clear. No, it's damaging to have too much water in the body. It's damaging to exercise too much. Being healthy, it just means for your body to work in your own personal, specific, individual, normal workings. You don't want to dip below the normal, ideally, and you don't want to try to go excessively above the normal, ideally. It's just a normal to the body if it's working, and that's a healthy body. I mean, that's the answer, and that's all opinions aside, every human to ever live. What does it mean to be healthy? In the Image Clothing Company's main side, the 9th of April, 2026, today's date, right? Well, the answer to what does it mean to be healthy is try to have your body stay regulated and able to do what you personally need in your life from day to day. That's it. If you can do that, what else would you want to try to be doing, and why? Would it matter if you tried to or not? You know? There's always a normal. Natural, neutral, and normal. These are synonyms within the human body. There's no opinion to it. All the excessive exercising is on the high end, if you will, of the normal. And then if you just sit around and don't use your body, that's on the low end of the normal. There's a normal. Always. You're the same human being for the rest of your life. Your bones are still the same shape and length since you got full grown until you die. really. I mean, really. You know, people think you shrink when you get older, but a lot of that is just the body getting into patterning, you know, or the body's cartilage between the bones being worn out, and that's just patterning too, really, right? And so that's what we say. Oh, shoot. I'll get into it, you know, clothing, how this makes sense. Now, I'm not saying clothing is the only thing you'd ever have to do for your body. Even though I say that, you know, clothing truly is the only fix to human beings' physical problems. Well, it's the only thing physically placed on our physical body, so yes. But really the fix would be to never wear anything we could label as something clothing the human being. And then there's nothing placed onto the body to possibly alter it physically like that, right? But if we do wear clothing, it's just got to fit the body proper. That's the point, right? Joints of body parts and joints of material meshing. There's only one way this can happen. Otherwise, we're working around something physically placed on us, and it's just in our way. But it's in our way through, just to be clear, right, everything else we do in our life that we also discuss and address under In the Image Clothing Company, okay? And so that's what I mean is what does it mean to be healthy? Well, it depends. It's an individualistic thing. It's your body able to do what you need it to, and that's great. That's all you need, and you're done. You know? Yeah, I mean, you've got people with autoimmune diseases, and I was starting to say this, and let's say this a little deeper in this video, because this is what I mean, is some people's immune system, their body's ability to fight off infections, you know, like diseases in life, you know, things you come across in life, sicknesses, if you will, illnesses, these things, you know, the body has its own system called the immune system, and it defends against these things, you know, it just does this naturally. Again, it should be naturally, healthily able to do this within our own individual situations. But you've got what's called, or what they call, an autoimmune disease, or something like this is the point, but this is a way to explain this, okay? And one of the ways, and I'll probably explain some other things that are similar to this as well, somebody that's got this going on and their body's immune system just isn't working very well, and so they could get sick easier, and they've got to be more intentional about staying, you know, cleaner than other people would, you know. If we're saying being dirty is your body potentially getting ill or sick, you know, people whose bodies can't fight these things off as well as others, they have to do what they can to stay cleaner, you know, to kind of like help their body when its natural immune system isn't really working to, well, yeah, really what we would say in this case is its normal, proper amount. I mean, it's not anything else besides that. In every individual human being situation, there's just a normal amount to how the body should do everything it does. Okay? There's just a normal to the human being. If you're alive, or you're imbalanced in some way and you're dead. I mean, even standing up, right? We're either standing vertical with Earth's vertical gravity pull meshing with our body's center line, or we're pulling our bodies left from the neutral or the normal. We're pulling our bodies right from the neutral or the normal. We're pulling our bodies forward from the neutral or the normal, or we're pulling our bodies back from the neutral or the normal. There's only a normal, even when it comes to standing. We discuss it like this, no matter how crazy it could sound. The most restful state the human being could have physically is standing. It's when the body is just vertically stacked at the bones with Earth's vertical gravity pull, right? The fingertips are just the other end of the arm from the shoulder, and now you have good posture when your body's just not altered and Earth's gravity just pulls you straight down. We could even say gravity pulls you straight up. Seriously, truly, right? This is the restful state for the human being, just standing. So this is what I mean. How do you be healthy? Be the most relaxed. That's not an opinion. It's not a choice. It's not a side to take. The most relaxed state of standing is the most healthy position to stand in. You know, our bodies have these even mathematical opposing bends from bottom to top. The ankles bend backward, the knees bend forward, the hips bend backward, the low back bends forward, the mid back bends backward, and the upper back, which is just the neck, the cervical spine, it bends forward. So we just go back and forth from Earth's vertical gravity pull, right, up the body, and we stay vertical. And this is the most restful standing position you could have, is the best posture you could ever possibly have. And that's what I mean. You'll never develop healthy posture Okay. Just like you'll never get healthy, you just stay healthy. You stay in your normal. You don't lean too far left or too far right, too far forward or too far back. You just stay in the center. Earth's gravity pulls you there and you're in a healthy posture position. That's not a perfect world thing, that's the truth, you know. So, clothing company, yeah. The only thing physically placed on your body, in the image clothing company. Why? Well, gravity's got the same effect on our clothing than it does on our bodies. It's impossible. Mathematically, mechanically, truly, a measurable understanding of this, it's truly impossible to train posture when you've got opposing bends from bottom to top in the body. You just let your body stand straight up, you allow your body to work, and you've got good posture because Earth's gravity pull never changes. And the fingertips are just the pendulum of the other end of the shoulder. Okay, we lock the hand out from the shoulder at the elbow between the two. Okay, straightening the elbow, the hand becomes the shoulder. They do the exact same thing. Well, they've always been the same thing, but you can see it, you know, rotation-wise, internal or external rotation from the hand to the shoulder, or just anywhere the hand goes, the shoulder goes when they're locked out at the elbow between the two. Just like the foot to the hip, we lock the foot out from the hip by straightening the knee between the two. And again, rotation-wise, internal or external rotation, or just anywhere the foot goes, the hip does the same thing. When locked out at the knee between the two, yeah, there's no way to get healthy. You just don't restrict your body and it stays healthy. If anything comes up, we try to get the body back to its only normal. That's what I said earlier. We've got to get as close as we can to the universal human design in our own individualistic situations, which were different slightly within the universal human design. But anyway, what I'm saying is the autoimmune disease, let's say someone has that, you know, their immune system just isn't working properly. It's not keeping them healthy, you know, as far as from sicknesses or illnesses, as well as their own individual body naturally should or would if it wasn't altered. Again, allowing the body to work. Well, we need to allow the immune system to do what it does. You'll never just get it to work excessively better, really. No. And a third, no. I mean, but the point is, you can look at someone like this and say, oh, they must be very unhealthy. Their immune system doesn't work. Well, what if their lungs work better than yours? Whoever's saying that they're unhealthy, right? Or what if, let's not try to pit like one person against each other. But I'm just saying, don't try to call people out for being unhealthy if you don't know what you're talking about. That's the point of what I'm really saying, because, you know, let's say somebody's got an autoimmune disease, you know, autoimmune disorder, autoimmune inability to work as properly as it should, the immune system of a certain individual human being. But their lungs are healthier than most all other human beings' lungs. And their heart is healthier than most all other human beings' heart. And, you know, they're eating healthier than most all other human beings are, in all the ways that it actually means to eat healthy, you know. Human beings versus ruminants is a video we filmed actually yesterday here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, right? But eating, you know, that was what that was about. But anyway, yeah, I mean, somebody that has one specific thing with their body that's not working really as well as theirs naturally, either we could say should or would, if there wasn't something going on with it in their own individual situation. Just because there's one thing in a human being's body that's not working all that properly according to their own body's normal of that, well, the rest of their entire body could be working above average as far as like more properly than just about anyone else. So can we even rightfully say they're unhealthy? If someone's immune system's not working, if the rest of their body's very healthy, you know, like statistically and understandably, measurably to their own specific body, they're probably actually a very healthy person who are actually just dealing with one, we could call it health complication. Okay, do you see what I mean? There's just so much to this. I mean, what does it mean to be healthy? Who are you asking? And why are you asking? Unless you're not allowed to do things in your life because there's things within your own physical being, if we're talking about physical health, that are not letting you do what you just need to do in your life because it's holding you back, you know? Like you're just trying to walk around and you just keep hunching over and you can't even fully get breath in your body, and you just feel like you can't even, continue to make it through the day without having to take a lot of rest periods throughout the day. Well, why, is the real question. Yeah. Okay. But also, yeah, I mean, if that's not the case, you're probably pretty healthy. I mean, what if there's no doctor to tell you if you're healthy or not? Like we were asking earlier, how are you going to know? Who's going to tell you if you don't know if you're healthy, right? I'm not mocking people, because if you don't know, then you don't know. But this is why I'm delivering this information, because it just becomes a comparison society, We'll see all these people and their trophies and their medals for climbing the highest mountain under the sea. You see what I mean? Taking a deep dive down the ocean by hiking the peaks of whatever. Who cares? That's what I mean. Who cares? And these people, all of a sudden, it seems like they're so healthy, and they're probably just like blistered and bleeding and broken through this adventure. I mean, people that climb the highest mountains, okay, like in all seriousness, that was serious too, but I was just saying it in a silly way, even though it was a serious comment. But this, I'm going to say this really clearly so you can really hear what I mean. I'm not saying it's wrong to hike like the tallest mountains on the earth just for the sake of hiking it. You can do it. You can do whatever you want. But people who do this, they'll hike to the highest mountain peak in their country or on the continent or in the whole world, right? Well, on the whole earth. There's a separation between God's natural earth and then our man-made world we place onto it, right? But someone's hiking a very tall mountain. Great, if you want. It's your choice. You can do that. But while they're doing this, you might have all these people thinking, oh man, this person's so healthy. They're hiking this huge mountain. And you might be saying, I could never do that. Maybe I'm just not healthy enough to do it then. If they're doing it, they must be really healthy. But, what does it mean to be healthy? These people hiking these mountains, the whole time they're doing it, or just about the entire time they're doing it, let's say, they're just like struggling to breathe so much. Well, that's not healthy for your lungs to struggle to breathe. It's just a normal respiratory rate. Your lungs have a normal way they breathe. Your lungs are really struggling to breathe. Are you sure it's healthy to hike this mountain? Forcing your body to the point where you can barely get full breath in your body, and you're probably not getting full breath, but barely breathing enough to not pass out and fall down the mountain. It's not an approach. I mean, this is the truth of what does it really mean to be healthy? Well, this isn't it. That's an unhealthy thing to do for your lungs. And their legs are just so sore, and they're just pushing their bodies, excessively putting wear and stress on the cushioning between the joints of things like their knees, their ankles, and their hips, and their back, all those little bones in the spine called vertebrae. This is unhealthy to push their bodies this hard up a mountain. But they may seem as though they're this very healthy person because they're hiking a big mountain that a lot of others wouldn't either be able to do or just wouldn't try to do. And maybe rightfully, a lot of people wouldn't try to push their bodies this unhealthily hard. Okay? People will be having bloody noses because they're exercising so hard. They might seem like healthy people, but they're pushing their bodies so hard, their nose starts to have blood come out of it. No joke. This happens often with these people that try to excessively push their bodies through exercise. And it could be seen as healthy. This is entirely, undisputedly unhealthy when we get down to the truth of it. There's a normal to the human being. You're going way, way, way above the body's normal capability. You're damaging your body. And that's what I mean is you can do it. I can't tell anyone what to do or what they can't do really anyway. But you can choose to do whatever you want. We've got to remember the episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, the only thing that we have. It's our human bodies. Everything can come to you, essentially to your body in life, or everything can leave you, which is essentially your body, in this physical life. But once your physical body stops doing what it does and its only normal workings, you die and your physical life's over. Okay. In the Image Clothing Company podcast, it's one of our fourths under In the Image Clothing Company, where we have deep discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. And like I said earlier, you don't need to be religious or believe in anything for truth to be truth. We're all human beings, the same thing, placed on the same earth and designed by the same God. It was always the same before any one of us, like myself, for example, got here, and it'll be the same after all of us, We just cycle human beings through this planet. Every give or take 100 years, there's a whole different group of human beings across the whole earth. Truth is truth. It's just what it is. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. Our bodies only work how they do. There's a universal human design. Anyway, so we just give deep insights on life under In the Image Clothing Company podcast. But yeah, the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's just life explained. The truth of all things, if you will. No claim. But don't believe it, and then it doesn't matter what I'm saying. Unless it's true, then it's just truth. Because spoken or unspoken, truth is always truth. And spoken or unspoken, these people climbing these mountains like this, and their bodies are just struggling so much, they know this is not healthy for them. They might try to be convincing themselves that they're so healthy because they're able to force their body to do something unhealthy for it. It doesn't make sense, though. No, this is not healthy, okay? This is just an example. Anything like this, where people are just excessively pushing their bodies. Yeah, this is what I mean by people get shamed about this. People feel personally shame. It's a choice to feel shame or ashamed. Okay, just to be clear. The gospel of Jesus Christ, right? The truth of all things. The truth is, there's a lot of people that make other people, look not as fit, not as healthy. And these people feel so bad, like, man, maybe I should step up my game and start hiking mountains also, because something that they think, because someone else is doing it. It's just so crazy. No, these people, they've got blisters. It's unhealthy for their skin. Their skin is blistering, which means their skin is wearing away. Like I'm saying, their joints are wearing away. It's not healthy. Their lungs are struggling to get a full breath. It's unhealthy. There's a neutral to the height of the shoulders, and this is how our lungs just, okay, breathe in and breathe out. And we're always breathing. Breath is the essence of human life. You can't even talk about what it means to breathe healthy. You're either breathing or you're dead. You need to breathe how your body breathes, or it's hard for your body to live. That's what it means to be healthy, through breathing. Right? It's an individual thing. Anyway, people that are doing all this excessively forceful exercise, this is unhealthy. All opinions aside, when we get down to the anatomy of the human body, how it actually works and why it actually is even here, it's just our vessel to take us across this earth with. And when we get down to understanding there truly is a normal, a resting heart rate, a respiratory rate that's resting, a resting body temperature, all these things that are just normal to the body, you go on either end of it and it's unhealthy. Excessively exercising is unhealthy, and then just not using your body enough for just its natural workings to remain activated as a whole, that's unhealthy as well. Okay? You're trying to breathe excessively deep, that's unhealthy. You can't get a full breath in your lungs, that's unhealthy. Your body is beating excessively slow, we could call it bradycardia, where it can't pump enough oxygenated blood through your body to oxygenate your body and fill it with blood. That's unhealthy. On the high end, though, we could call it tachycardia, an excessively fast heart beating rhythm. This is unhealthy. There's just a normal. Like I said earlier, let's reiterate that while we're discussing the high and low end of things, too much water in the body, overly hydrated, this is unhealthy. Too little water in the body, underhydrated, this is unhealthy. Too much food in the body, this is unhealthy. The body will have too much fat build up in it as one of the things, but also just, backing up your digestive system. It can only house the amount of food in it at a time that it can. Too much is unhealthy. And all the other things we could mention with that. Too little food, this is malnutrition. You don't have enough energy or nutrients in your body, nutrition, because food is literally just fuel. for the human being. Just like water's lubrication, fuel is just fuel. So there's a middle to this that's healthy. You're hiking the highest mountains on the earth. I'm not saying you can't do it, but you're going to be pushing your body more than you actually personally need to, and that's unhealthy. You can do it. You're doing things that are unhealthy for your body, though, truly. You're getting blisters, you're getting bloody noses, you're getting sore and stiff joints, you're wearing out cartilage between your bones, you're having a hard time breathing, you're excessively sweating and dehydrating your body excessively because of an activity you've chosen to do. This is unhealthy on the high end of extremes when it comes to exercise. But then, yeah, on the low end, if you're just not using your body naturally, it'll just basically deteriorate and die. God designed the body to work, meaning not only did he design it to do what it should do, but what he designed it to do is what it had to do before we had modern man-made technology to do it for us. Walk places if we wanted to go somewhere. You know, yeah, hike up a mountain to the degree we need to get to where we were going on the mountain for a proper reason to go there. I'm not saying you can't hike big mountains. I love to go on hikes, personally. I do. I love the mountains. I'm Utah native as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. I mean, I say it very clearly. We live up Utah as In The Image Clothing Company. You know, yeah, in-person events, we'll do things in nature under In The Image Clothing Company. You know, and we'll discuss that more in this video if I do, with things like poodle parade events, you know. Yeah, I'll say it right now. Bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, to poodle parade events under In The Image Clothing Company's fourth, called In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, where we give information that applies to all dogs, but we specialize in purebred standard sized poodles, okay, the large size of the breed of the poodle. But yeah, letting dogs stay natural. We do the same thing for the dogs and any animals, even pack mules or horses or any domesticated animal, or even animals just under human care in any way, that we do for human beings here on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, with allowing the body to work being our slogan. So, you know, clothing for human beings is just the same as clothing for dogs, because we can talk about the surrounding sounds in our videos if we want. Yikes. But yeah, you know, glasses and jewelry is just as much clothing the human body with something as tops and pants and shoes and socks, undergarments, hats, gloves, anything like this. So for the dogs, it's collars, leashes, harnesses, slip leads, bandanas, anything like this at all. Placed onto the dog is the literal word of clothing the dog with something. So anyway, there you go. What I'm saying is, it's not a bad thing to hike mountains. I just use that as an example in this video, and we could use anything as an example that we could take to the extreme. And we could have this idea of looking at it like you must be so healthy because you're healthy enough to get to the top of that mountain. That's just like such a challenge for your body to do, but you're actually forcing your body to do these things. It's not just hiking, just to be clear, but it's a good example. There's mountains behind me here, the Rocky Mountain Range in Utah here, the United States of America, but also it's a common thing, you know, for people to hike like to the peak of mountains just to do it. That's the point, is if you're doing things just to do them, that's an individual choice, but if you are having physical pain come from it, you're damaging your body. You're not helping your body. It's not more healthy for you to go hike to a peak of a mountain than it is for you to not. That's not true. It's not. No, right? No. People will say, you know, it's healthy to go running all the time. No, it isn't. People come back from runs and they've depleted so much water from their body through excessively sweating. They have to replenish all this water, and now they've flushed, you know, nutrients, electrolytes out in their body from this, you know, exchange of water that only happened because they forced their body to go faster than it would need to if they were just running because they chose to run. These things aren't making you healthy. Your body's either working well or it's not. And the body just has a normal, okay? Anyway, just, yeah, when it comes to being healthy, what does it mean? You know, I mean, we've just got to see that things are so different in modern day. Dehydrated food, purifiers in the things we drink, unnatural, artificial, and synthetic, man-made, fake food. It's not even real food. They label it as food, but it's literally, in the wording, fake. The word artificial is fake. The word unnatural is fake, right? Synthetic is fake. This is on the packaging of our food at our, public food places, the markets, the grocery stores, wherever you could get food that someone else has packaged, and made. Well, they've made it. It's not naturally grown by God like plants and animals, these man-made foods. So what does it mean to really be healthy? Well, it means for the goal to be natural in our lives. The goal is natural, like I've said here, under all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. There's no opinion too natural. Every human being that ever lived, before any invention of a human being has come after, all those human beings only had the same things we do now, but we've just altered those things if we have things that are unnatural, artificial, synthetic. Any words like this just meaning changed from their natural state, or fake is really what it is. So what it means to be healthy is knowing who Jesus Christ is. I'm not pushing a religion here, but who designed this body? Designed in the image of Jesus Christ, in the image of God. Well, the body only does what it does. It's always just doing what it does unless it can't. If you force your body to try to do something more than it just naturally can do, that's unhealthy. If you don't allow your body to continue to operate as well as it should, now you're on the low end of just functioning, not as functional as you just naturally in your own individual situation should be, that's unhealthy. No one's going to try to tell you what it means to be healthy or what it means to be unhealthy and have it be a universal thing, really. Like specifically what to or not to do. How to have the body work all together, there's only one way that happens. That's what we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company. But yeah, nobody's ever going to be able to possibly correctly check off your body as a healthy body or an unhealthy body. There's certain things they can check for to see if you've got things that are, maybe not ideal in your body for your own individual body. Doctors can do these things, and sometimes in ways we couldn't do for ourselves through blood tests and stuff like this. I understand, of course. Well, maybe not of course, but just to be clear, I do understand these things. But that's what I'm saying is, what if these things didn't exist? What about every human being before there was any kind of modern medicine to try to tell you you're healthy or to try to get you to be healthy? What about every human being thousands of years ago that didn't have anything you could call modern medicine, that didn't have anything you could call like a modern doctor clinic or a hospital? Were they just all unhealthy because they didn't have all these ways to find out if they were healthy, so they maybe just weren't? No. Did their bodies work? Well, if yes, then they're probably relatively healthy. It's no different nowadays. Just as it won't be any different if all of a sudden everything collapses. That's the other thing. What if, something crazy happens that we couldn't expect? And it will. It always does. And all of a sudden you couldn't get to the doctor to try to find out if you're healthy. How are you going to know if you're healthy? Well, does your body work? It should. To the degree of you doing everything you possibly can in your own individual situation. It's the only thing you've got. Your body, it should work to your own individual degree of just being able to do what you can in your own life. Otherwise, it's probably unhealthy, yeah. If there's things you can personally do something about, without trying to go above and beyond, but just to allow your body to work. Our slogan here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, allowing the body to work. If you're not doing all that you need to personally, and things that are within your own individual control, to just have your body be its own personal level of naturally healthy, then yeah, you're probably unhealthy. But we just got to look at it all together. You can't look at the amount of fat your body has on it and say you're unhealthy. You can have some really healthy people who weigh like 3 times more. This is similar to what I was saying earlier in this video, but yeah, gosh. You can have some people who are fat. Truly fat. I don't care who that wants to offend or not. I'm not being offensive. Fat, that's what it is. It's a substance. There's fat content in the body. Let's just say it so bold so you know that's just truth. The body has musculature, the body has fat. The body has bones, the body has tendons and ligaments. The body has organs. You know, one of the things the body has is fat. There's a healthy amount of fat. That's what I mean. Somebody who's just truly like fat though, they've got a lot of fat on their body. Let's just say it harsh. Somebody is fat. I want to hit that so hard. It's like we talk about racial divisions. We talk about race under In the Image Clothing Company. You know, ethnicities, you're black or you're white, or you're, you know, Hispanic, you're Mexican, you're Asian, you're an Eskimo from up north or something. I don't know. You're Indian, whoever you are, whatever you are. Maybe you're skinny, maybe you're fat. I mean, can we just say it so bold? We've got our own individual bodies. Don't be ashamed of it, is what I'm saying. That's the point. Is people will tell you you're so unhealthy if you've got more fat content on your body than someone else does. That's why I said what I did about my own personal experience in my own personal body. As the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, I'm just naturally slender. I couldn't take credit for it. So you can't be ashamed thinking you're unhealthy because you're fat. Maybe your body just carries more fat than someone else's naturally. And that's it, you know? You can be the healthiest person in a room and have the most fat on your body out of anyone else in the room. Truly. This is what I mean. What does it mean to be healthy? Stop trying to shame each other. Stop trying to have all these ideals, well, and also ideas of how to get healthy. And stop trying to have all these like universal measurements of what it could mean to be healthy. Stop trying to have some kind of doctor or supposed professional check you off as being healthy, and maybe you just have no idea how you could ever possibly understand if you're healthy or not if you don't go to a supposed professional who might give you false information anyway. Does your body work? Can you live your life? You're probably healthy if so. If there are certain things that are holding you back in ways that you can tell you could do something about, well, we can do what we can to address those things within our own individualistic situations and get our bodies maybe closer to their individual natural level of health from person to person. But we don't need to go to the extremes on the high end or on the low end. We just need our bodies to be regulated. We've got things like this, you know, well, okay, hydration, it's a regulation of fluid in the body. Food, it's a regulation of what you could call a good body condition. Like I'm saying, your own individual balance of fat content versus muscle mass in your body. This is a regulation of how much food we're eating and what kind and how also we eat the food is just as big as what we eat, okay? How we eat it, how we introduce just foreign things into the body, which is food, for the body to accept it. You know, anyway, these things are a regulation, as in we need to regulate it into a certain balance within our own individualistic situations. You know, exercise, it's a regulation. It's just making sure that we're allowing our bodies to get as much motion in them as they need so they don't stiffen up and lack some of their full range of motion. There's a video under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here titled Full Range of Motion. But then also, we don't need to go on the extreme end and try to move our bodies so much all the time, thinking that the more we do, the better it will be. That's not regulating our body's amount of exercise just in its normal range. You know, just like we regulate, or our bodies do it for us, their heart rate in its normal range. Our body regulates its temperature in its normal range. The body breathes in its normal range of amount of times it breathes. We could measure it per minute, right? There's only a normal to the body. And if your body's in its own individual, because we are different within the universal human design, your own individual normal, if your body's fairly regulated to that in all the ways that it works just all together, activated as a whole, just meaning really simplified, because there's nothing to do necessarily to get there. God designed the body to work. If we can just live our lives and we don't feel excessively restricted by something, you know, that we really can address in a way that makes sense to, then you're probably just healthy. As healthy as you need to be to do what you need to do. I mean, health isn't something you just keep climbing like a ladder. Just like hydration, it's not something you just keep adding to the body. You don't just keep getting healthier and healthier and healthier. That's impossible. There's a cap at the top end and the low end. It's a regulation. It's somewhere in between. It's your body's own individual normal. What does it mean to be healthy? It means for your body to just work. That's why our slogan under In the Image Clothing Company is allowing the body to work, because there's only one way it does. There's no opinion to it. Well, you can have all the opinions on it, but none of them will matter, because at the end of the day, just as at the beginning of the day, it was the same. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no claim. We discuss it in such depth under In the Image Clothing Company, you couldn't possibly dispute what we're saying. That's not our information. No breakthrough, no new information, nothing we could take credit for under In the Image Clothing Company. We're just doing all we can to get down to the truth, aligning what we do with the truth of God. The body of the human being, that's how we can word it, like every body has one and every one has a body. It's just literal wording. Every human being before me and after me is the exact same. As far as there's a baseline universal human design, and we can slightly differ from that. But again, we regulate within the universal human design. Health is the center. You can be unhealthy on the low end or unhealthy on the high end of anything we could try to excessively do or that we're not doing enough of to match our body's normal. There's just a normal. All the biggest bodybuilders, here's some context, I say this where I do, the people with the biggest muscle mass, the most musculature size on their bodies that ever have lived, once they stop working out to get that excessive muscle, their body goes back to normal. The muscle goes away. They're not extra healthy because they've got these big muscles. They're actually unhealthy in a lot of ways. They're lacking a lot of range of motion because they've got physical muscle in the way of just their natural motion. There's no opinion to these things. The point is, it's always out of our hands because you couldn't deny that. Your body grew for itself. This is God's design. It only does what it does, every human to ever live. For it to be healthy, what that means is for us to take care of it. What does it mean to take care of it? Keep it regulated. I mean, that's the point. That's really the point. It's synonymous. A regulated body is a healthy body. We've got a video under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here titled The Importance of Uniform Clothing. Uniform meaning like regulation, something that's always just about the same. You regulate it from being different on either end to being just about the same always. Something that's uniform, it's always just about the same. When we wear our clothing, it needs to always fit our bodies just about the exact same so that our bodies can be regulated in what they're having to wear. Again, we're just holding our clothing off the earth with its gravity pulling down on our clothing just as much as gravity pulls down on our bodies all day, every day that we have clothing on our bodies. Things like stretch and clothing that only exist as of tens of years ago from today's date, the 9th of April, 2026, in the Image Clothing Company's main site here, by the way. Okay, what it means to be healthy. What does it mean to be healthy is actually the way we're going to title it, because then we can just ask a question. Like, what does it mean? You're claiming you're healthy. What does that mean? Can someone explain it to you? That's the other point. People don't know what it means. Someone will be like, oh, I'm a health nut. Someone says, I'm so healthy. Oh, how? Oh, because I'm healthy. I do so many things to get healthy. So if you stop doing those things, are you going to not be healthy anymore? That shouldn't be the case. You should just be able to live a normal life and be healthy. If you're only going to be able to be healthy by doing all this excessive stuff, then once you stop the excessive stuff, does that mean your normal is an unhealthy state for your own body? Because I personally, if I'm saying this right, I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. My name's Evan Strong. My body's very healthy because I don't try to force it to do anything. But you're trying to tell me your body is excessively healthy? What does that mean? That's not possible. actually. So you're wrong. It's not that I'm right, but God is the truth. And he designed my body and yours. Right? This is how it works. I mean, what does it mean to be healthy? Well, it's a regulation, you know, between the two extremes on either end. Anyway, stretch in clothing, it doesn't even exist in the past, but neither does the past. Stretch started to get put into clothing just tens of years ago from now, right? The 9th of April, 2026, around this time. The materials got invented. Unnatural, artificial, and synthetic materials, they started to weave these into little fine strands of things that they made clothing out of. Muscles only pull in the body, you know, so stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way the muscles could ever work. So if you're within stretchy clothing, you're unhealthy. Oh, but maybe you're running all the time and taking supplemental foreign powdered dehydrated ground up fruits and seeds from the other part of the earth that you say is a superfood. What does it mean to be healthy? You see what I mean? We live in a crazy world, man. Everyone was just healthy until they weren't. I'm not talking about from like past to future, or you know, like through the chronological flow of the time that we have, the fabric of space-time. I just mean in our own individual lives. Everyone was healthy till they're maybe not at some point. You know, babies and toddlers, they're healthy. They've got all their natural motion in their bodies. Okay, that doesn't go away because of age. It goes away because of patterning. How? It's not a sales pitch, it's just the truth. The only thing physically placed on us, the literal word of clothing. You know, you've got oversized clothing, imbalances of any kind in clothing, shoelaces, drawstrings, buttons, zippers, pockets, stretch in clothing, tags in clothing, you know, just discrepancies, differences in seams from left to right in clothing, you know, design choices, stitched or heat shrunk, ironed onto clothing, whatever it could be like this. You're carrying these things around with you all day, hanging them off your body with Earth's gravity's pull, but also just, you know, the joints of your body only do what they do, and also just the muscles of the body have to pull, and so anything that's stretching is going the opposite way, you know, and then just the body being poisoned truly by unnatural, artificial, or synthetic materials in clothing or things like this, synonyms with fake, seeping into the holes of our skin we call pores. The skin of the body is an organ, the epidermis. It's a video's title under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here, the epidermis. But yeah, we poison our bodies with these fake materials. These are made in a factory, you know, they're refined through an unnaturally, excessively hot processing, you know, through man-made machinery. It's poison for the body. And so this is what I mean, is were people just unhealthy in the past before they had the modern doctors that tell them they were healthy? Most of the time, in all truth, in the majority of just about every case, yeah, pretty much always, in all truth. Don't believe me, but the truth is, human beings were more healthy. Broad spread in most all cases in the past than they are nowadays. And going forth, you know, because of all these inventions we have that alter our natural lives and separate us from the natural earth, there's no opinion for, you know, for like trying to be grounded. The body's literally the earth. That's what it is, not how it's become something else. The body's literally the earth. It's just elements and minerals. It's matter that cannot be created or destroyed. What does it mean to be healthy? Just live a natural life. Shoot, I mean, right? There's no opinion to that could matter. Anyway, yeah, so clothing, that's why we're a clothing company, you know, is to have healthy bodies. Because that's what it means to allow the body to work. Anyway, yeah, I mean, clothing has to fit, you know, and it's not the only thing. It's not like if you just wear clothing properly, and we understand truly how that is under In the Image Clothing Company. You don't have to believe us, but if you do what we say and it works, then it's working. and it works. We discuss the anatomy of the human body in such depth that you couldn't dispute that we know what we're talking about, and we give a lot of free modifications in clothing to not alter the body. We'll always have good clothing, human being clothing, and dog products, you know, staying centered, fitting correct, being made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. No tags in clothing, you know, the labeling in clothing that just is new from tens of years ago from today's date, the 9th of April, 2026. And, you know, just minimal, simple, light, do everything clothing, do everything dog products. We'll breed purebred standard poodles to be do everything dogs. Like Dante here, he's the rescue from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. We didn't breed to him, but he's a beautiful example of a do everything dog. A dog that doesn't limit your lifestyle. You can take them everywhere with you and they're just well-behaved, capable, good dogs, you know. Anyway, In the Image Clothing Company, and this is a lot of what we're doing here, but what does it really mean, right? We just have to look at the whole body. If your core ever deactivates, your body's damaged, you know, and we discussed this so clearly too. The core isn't some foreign thing. The core is just even crossing of musculature through the hips, pulling up in the front and down in the rear for a posterior rotation of the pelvis, or down in the front and up in the rear for an anterior rotation of the pelvis, and the neutral between the two is just the same horizontal as the surface of the planet Earth. You can't activate your core. That happened when you grew in your mother's womb as a child, and your core should always stay activated. The word core is just the center, just like an apple. It's the center part of the apple, where the apple stems from, again, literal wording, and the apple's seeds are. The core of the human being is just the center of it all. So you can try to focus on all the health things you want to try to get to happen in your life. If your core is ever deactivated, as in the musculature is just not working, that's the center of your body from top to bottom, where your spine's coming down into your hips and your leg bones are coming up into your hips, yeah, you're unhealthy. Isn't that crazy, right? And this is what I mean, is if we allow the body to work, then it's working. That's good. That's a healthy body. If the body's not working well, that's an unhealthy state to be in, right? A state of being. That's what health is. It's a state of being. It's either you're functional or you're not. We could say you're either healthy or you're not. Your body's either allowed to work or it doesn't. How far can we go with this? You're either alive or you're dead. I mean, it's that real. It's not a joke. It's not some kind of foreign concept. Like when I discussed hydration so thoroughly in that video that I did under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here. It's not a foreign concept. It's just the water content held within something. It's the soil of the earth. It's the plants. It's the animals. It's the clouds. This is hydration. It just happens to be our human bodies we're talking about when we're discussing the amount of water content housed within them, which is the literal word of hydration, you know. What does it mean to be healthy? Well, is it working? It's like having a car. Does your car run? Oh, yeah, good. You could say the car is healthy. You know, a vehicle, a man-made mechanical machine, which is ironic because our bodies are a God-made mechanical machine. So this is why I'm saying this, right? If the car runs, you could say the car is healthy. If the car is not running well, the car is unhealthy. If the human being works, the human being's healthy. If the human being's not working well, it's probably in some ways or some part of it unhealthy, meaning maybe there's something we could address in it. On the low end of the natural regulation, in between the high or low end of the extreme, there's somewhere in the middle there is the health. Let's try to get back to that, you know. How does the automobile work, the car? Only how it does. Try to get the car to work excessively well, and it only does what it does unless you alter its state from how it was designed to be. But also, if the car's not running as well as it's designed to be, then, right, there's either end. This is the human being. It's not a foreign concept. It's so much not foreign that it's you, right? I mean, it's, yeah. Oh, shoot. There's only one way the human body could ever work. No opinion, no breakthrough, no claim, no new information. Also, though, never outdated information. This video will apply to every human, even when I get in my time machine and go backward in time. I don't have a time machine, but if I could do that, right? It's just God's design of the human being. It's just what it is. So what does it mean to be healthy? Well, stick around and find out, brother. You know, I mean, check out what we have under In the Image Clothing Company. Well over 500 videos on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company alone as one of our fourths as of today's date, the 9th of April, 2026. And they're like this. When I say there's that many videos, you know, they're thoroughly packed full of information and discussion like this, where I don't have some kind of thing I'm pushing or preaching as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong. It's just that God designed a body. What does it do? Let's figure that out. And let's discuss it, and let's allow ours to work. That's really what we do under In the Image Clothing Company within this universal human design. As different as we could think we all are, we've got our own individualistic differences for sure, and those things have to be catered to when it comes to understanding our own individual health. But, you know, it's fairly universal understanding. You know, it's a fairly universal understanding. It's universal besides only the things that could be slightly different in very specific cases. There is a universal human design, you know, so. Anyway, what I'm saying is we've got another fourth of In the Image Clothing Company. In the Image Clothing Company music. I understand, by the way, you can't really see my face very well through the shading of my hat in this video. I get it. It's just what it is. You can hear the words I've said. The point is documenting the information. We've done it, okay? But In the Image Clothing Company music, the last fourth to mention here under In the Image Clothing Company, all right, on the 9th of April, 2026. Anyway, we show the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter the neutral wrist, right? Straight out from the outside of the forearm, down and out that pinky finger is the neutral. To the wrist. There's only one way the human body could ever work. I will be doing this my entire lifetime, just meaning leading In the Image Clothing Company as the founder, right? But yeah, right. The information will never change if we're lining it with the truth of God. The human body's never changed. Since God, he had to first look like us to be able to even say that he designed us in his image. But yeah, you know, rhythm and poetry, lyricism, spoken word, music, guitar playing, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ with the messages. These are a lot of the things we do under In the Image Clothing Company music. We've got series where we do under In the Image Clothing Company. We do a lot. You know, we'll move to St. George, Utah this month, April 2026. My current standard poodle and I, Evan Strong. My current standard poodle's name is Dante. Credit needs to go to Dante where it does. He's a great dog. But yeah, you know, I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company is why it matters, you know, if it matters to you, but that's why it could, is because we'll be based for life in St. George, Utah, the very southernmost part of Utah. It's a true desert. It's the top of the Mojave Desert, you know, coming up from Arizona and Nevada as it is, the Mojave Desert right there, the little top peak of it, you know, from south to north, if we're talking about top part of it. It's beautiful. Red rock and sandstone. Yeah, this is beautiful down there. There's sand dunes, you know, yeah. What does it mean to be healthy? Regulate the body. So how do you do that? Well, there's a lot to it, and we discuss a lot of it under In the Image Clothing Company here. You have to remember the reason why we're a clothing company if you want to know what we do. It's just the only thing physically placed on our bodies. And so we discuss where clothing sits very clearly on the body. You know, feet just have to be flat on the ground, first of all. The term zero drop in any brand of shoe, just like the horizontal surface of the earth, is the same as the neutral between lifting the toes, dorsiflexion, or pointing the toes, plantar flexion. The top of the feet in the Image Clothing Company shoelace technique. Let's talk about where clothing sits, yeah. Anyway, yeah, there's only one way the top of the feet are shaped. There's just bones, tendons, ligaments, and muscles, gripping arches inward in those feet, like I was saying. Opposing the center line of the human being and keeping us vertical. Yeah. It's half the function, lifting the feet up. You can focus on the sole of the shoe, but if you're not focusing on the top of the foot as well, you're going to damage your body, you know. We've got a lot of videos discussing the jaw of the human being, you know, under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here. A lot of videos discussing the feet. These are some of the biggest things, you know. The feet are supporting our entire bodies and stabilizing them. The jaw is stabilizing the entire body. The jaw is eating, speaking, breathing, and like I just said, stabilization of the entire body. As some of the roles certainly that the jaw plays for the entire body. Right, we just talk about a lot under In the Image Clothing Company. We really, really do, but we better get out of here and go get something to eat and drink. Dante and I, it's pretty warm and we're just standing in the sun. He's using me as shade fairly well through most of this video, but it's, you know, time to go replenish our bodies from, you know, the work we've put in. Seriously. So anyway, what was I talking about? Where clothing sits. Pants need to be entirely above the hips. Okay, we've got a natural waist. Keeping elbows at the natural waist, a video title under In the Image Clothing Company's main site, but also just a focus in life. The elbow is just the bottom end of the upper arm bone, just as the shoulder is the top end of the upper arm bone. This upper arm bone is called the humerus. Anywhere the elbow goes, the shoulder goes, just like anywhere the hand goes, the shoulder goes when we straighten the elbow between the two. The body's just a mechanical machine. There's no claim here. It's truly only what it is, and always. So being healthy is just allowing it to be that. There's no approach besides that. Ever. It's nothing to do with me, other than I understand it, and I've founded this beautiful company, or community even, if you will, of people, you know, in the Image Clothing Company. So the natural waist above those hip bones but below those lowest ribs, this is where our pants sit, because that's where we bend side to side at the spine. You can't bend side to side at the hips without a foot coming off the ground. Mechanically, that just can't happen. The spine's in the center line of the body, then it splits off to either side, and then there's a leg that comes down. The top of the upper leg bone, the femoral head, comes up and into the acetabulum of the hip. And our pants need to be at our natural waist, okay? And really, the hip's neutral is the same as the bottom of the feet's neutral, which is the surface of the planet Earth, okay? So if we could keep our pant waistline just entirely horizontal with the surface of the Earth, that'd be great. But what we say is just very slightly higher in the front than in the rear, because our hips already bend forward or anterior, right? When we hip hinge and just do things with our hands and our eyes and our feet in front of our bodies. And so we don't want our pant waistline falling any lower in the front. It'll take our hips with it. And just to stand the most vertical that we could on Earth's gravity, to have the least effect on gravity, really we'd posteriorly tuck our pelvis the most that we could underneath us, right? But there's that neutral. I'm just saying, we don't want our pants taking our hips with them in the direction the hips already bend by going lower in the front, or else our bodies are just damaged. And then there you go, you're unhealthy because your pants, and you might not know that, but that's true. Okay, it's mathematics and mechanics, brother. Truly, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we do. Okay, the top seams on top of our shoulders, they need to just sit evenly right behind the peak of the shoulders, because first of all, evenly, okay, our shoulders sit behind our head. That's just where they connect to the body through the trapezius muscles to the spine and the rear of the skull, right at the base of the rear of the skull. You know, even the sternocleidomastoid comes up and connects behind the ear on the back of the head, essentially, at least farther back on the head than the center front to back, which is the ears. Anyway, you know, the shoulders follow shoulder seams because of gravity, okay? Earth's gravity just pulls down on our clothing, and so our shoulders just need to be where gravity pulls them too, and that's just how that's going to happen, okay? Don't believe me, but truth is truth. Anyway, the edge seams of our tops just need to be at the edges of our shoulders. We've got the collarbone, the shoulder blade, and the upper arm bone, clavicle, scapula, and humerus meeting to become the shoulder joint. And we need the clothing material to be in the same location, as close as we can get. And we need those edge seams. You know, you can have clothing design that doesn't have seams on the edges of the shoulders, but they need to be there. So there's this nice pivoting of the material of our clothing where the joining bones of our body is. Okay, that just keeps our bodies in their proper position. The collarbone or the clavicle, it pivots up and internal rotation, or it pivots down and external rotation from the neutral. There's just only one way the human body could ever work. The feet have to be flat on the ground first, you know, and the pants have to not be altering the hips, and there's just a lot going on. So removing all tags from clothing is a must. Tags, you know, labeling placed within our clothing, it's just like having a leaf in your clothing, causing a physical gap between your body and your clothing, you know. Deactivating musculature and just changing the only position of the human being. The only position is just the neutral. And then we just move from there. Okay, even just standing, like I'm saying, we're either standing vertical or we're just not. Anyway, there's just a neutral to the body, so that's what it means to be healthy. Regulating the neutral. That's really the big thing. I mean, that's how we could always say it. You know, what does it mean to be healthy? Have a regulated body. Otherwise, you don't. In every way that we discussed earlier, that you have a high end or a low end, if you're not regulating in the middle, that middle is health, really. Okay. But anyway, yeah, you know, we talk about it in depth, keeping short sleeves short, the importance of even short sleeves, but we just have things like, you know, In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, In the Image Clothing Company's pant zipper modification. And these are just some of the things we talk about, but I talk about some like pretty hard-hitting major, if you will, things. And then, you know, check out what else we do, because we branch out into this stuff. When I say branch out, I mean, there's a lot that we talk about. We're not, yeah, anyway. We get into stuff in such depth here of what we do. There's only one way it happens. I don't have a claim, you know, I mean, allowing the body to work is the only end of that ever, you know. You can't get it to work. It only is designed to do what it's designed to do. Regulating its ability to do that, not too excessively high and not too excessively low in every discussion of all the functions of the body, because there's so many functions to the body. All of them just need to be regulated to work all together, activated as a whole. And really, God designed the body to do this very well, but so much of it is just our modern man-made world. Things like this, fingernails and toenails, all the way to the tips of the fingers and toes to back and support them. Natural strength, God-given. And then we love this video so much. We cut them relatively flat on the tips, the fingernails and toenails, because there's a neutral to the rounding hand and to the wrist, to the rounded grip arch and to the ankle. You know, the gripped arches in the feet. Yeah, I mean, there's just a neutral. Internal rotation, external rotation, pronation, supination, dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, and just the foot tripod, the different length 5 toes. There's a neutral to the feet. If the feet are altered, your body's damaged. They're supporting your whole body. And we just talk about it like this, you know, the way that I just did, so clearly under In the Image Clothing Company. If this part of your body's altered, your body's damaged. And it's not like some terrible thing to like feel bad about, but that's just what I'm saying, is it only works all together. So we just have to allow it to do that to the best of what we can within our own individual situations. Otherwise, yeah, right? Otherwise, you've got problems that if you can do something about, you're just not doing something about it. Personally, you know, that's the thing. Healthy, yeah. Oh, good grief. Okay, so we just really discussed this. I mean, what does it mean to be healthy? It's ironic because, yeah, you can spend years of your life playing sports in a very unhealthy state, you know, but doing a lot of athleticism, you know, exercise. And then you can spend a lot of other parts of your life not really exercising much, but your body's so much healthier. And why and how and what does that mean? Well, this is what I mean. We need to understand where this regulation of health is lying in the body. It's within all of it. And what's important to focus on? Well, all of it. You can have an imbalance of health, if you will. And that's not helpful, you know? I mean, you can't focus on a certain aspect of health. Now you're going to have an unhealthy body because you have imbalanced your body. You know, you get an excessively healthy certain part of your body, and now it's almost like the other parts of your body are less healthy when they haven't changed, but you've just created an imbalance by trying to go on the high end of excessive health, if you will, right? Let's use the example of a car. I'm just going to make this video as long as I make it. It's just packed full of information. The 9th of April, 2026, documented. date marked under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. If you got a car, right, we can compare it to a human being. It's just a mechanical machine, a vehicle, a man-made transportation thing. Okay, a car. I mean, you can put some kind of thing on the car like a turbo, you know, that puts extra air into the engine to be able to have the opportunity to give it more power. But now if the rest of the engine's still only working at its normal, how the car was designed, this excessively working turbo can damage the whole engine, and the whole engine can just fail and fall apart. That's what I mean. You try to be excessively healthy in only certain areas of your human flesh, and the rest of it is going to have an imbalance from that, and that's damaging. Because you tried to be excessively healthy, you actually will damage your body. There's just a normal regulation of health. And it's not a foreign concept. It's just very, very clearly said here, nothing to do with any technological advancement or enhancement or invention. No, like nothing new will ever make the body more healthy. That's impossible. There's certain things that we could say fix in the body. You know, the body has like something happen to it, you know, like an organ starts failing in the body, like my own personal situation as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, Evan Strong. The heart surgeries that I've had throughout my life, I wouldn't have been able to have if I had lived just maybe even like 20 years, give or take, before then, even 10 years maybe. Like, you know, just around the time that they invent new methods of getting the body back to its natural amount of health, that's, yeah, not getting the body any healthier. That's just getting the body back to its normal regulation of health. This is what I mean. There's no opinion to this. Every human who ever lived had the opportunity to be just as healthy as any human being today in 2026. Going forth, chronologically in the order of time, no human being will ever have the opportunity to be healthier than any human being in modern 2026. We have the equal amount of opportunity to be healthy any time period we ever live, because the body only does what it does. We have new things through technologies and medical developments, if you will, that we can bring people back from an unhealthy state in ways they couldn't have done in the past. But no matter what we try to conjure up and put together to be healthier than we are, that won't happen. That's a conditional thing. Just like working out to have more muscle than you naturally do won't happen lasting. It's not really happening. You're just forcing your body to do something excessive, and then it goes back to normal. When it comes to working out, when it comes to trying to be excessively healthy in any way, it's the same thing. Once you stop trying to be excessively healthy, because sure, we might have, you know, inventions that may seem like it's getting our bodies to be excessively healthy, only till you stop doing these things, and there's always the normal again. From every human being on either end of time, there's a normal to health. That's it, by the way. Anyway, just to be clear, you know, I mean, it's just a date mark documentation. That's the thing, because I don't have a claim. As the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, Evan Strong, it's the only possible end. Just allowing the body to work. A body that just works how it should is healthy. That's it. We just get as close as we can to that, and we're healthy. And that's it. There's nothing else you really can do. No, right? Just to be so clear, because anything we ever discuss under In the Image Clothing Company, it might sound like it's an opinion of an approach to take. Well, it's not our goal. Our goal is natural. The body naturally grows by itself. In order for it to do that, it's got to be healthy enough to live. Well, I mean, people don't live. People maybe only live a week or a month or a few years, and their bodies just don't grow properly, naturally, neutrally, normally, healthily, and they die. There's no getting these people to be healthy. There's doing what we can to getting their bodies to have a normal, as far as according to the universal human design's normal functioning in the ways that they grow. Man, that's like a true bumblebee, huh? I don't see those kind of bees. Barely ever. There it is, right in the lens. Oh no, that's not a bumblebee. That's like a hornet or something. I don't know what that is exactly, but anyway, it's pretty big. That's the point. Is that's how we can see these things. Don't just look at the industry of health and try to see, what do I choose then? How do I be healthy from all these things to choose from? Look at the human being. If people aren't healthy enough, they die. If people are healthy enough, they live. That's it. And it comes before there could be any kind of way to approach health. Some people don't even know what it means if you say the word health to them. They just know they eat food and they drink water, because if they don't, they feel hungry or they feel thirsty. They know if all of a sudden they're feeling ill or sick, they just can't do very much until they feel like they can. That's what I mean. That's health or not. That's healthy or unhealthy. It's just the body working or the body not working. Every generation of human being, always. That's it. Our approaches to having that be the case can kind of change, and I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. We've got ways of doing this that we couldn't have before we invented these methodologies to be able to regulate the body's health. That's what it is. It's just a normal, it's a regulation. That's what it means to be healthy. What does it mean to be healthy? I'm just so grateful is really what it is, because it's videos like this. There's that bee looking thing again. That is a hornet. That is what that is. That's a hornet. It's big. It's bigger than a wasp. Like thickness wise. Anyway, it's a pretty big bee thing, hornet. That's cool. I like to see that, actually, really. Those things hurt, man, personally. When they sting you or bite you or whatever they do. Had that happen a couple times, a couple years ago, like within the same week. That was a rough experience, really. Anyway, just being real about this, seriously, that's what I'm saying, is this is just a documentation, and the rest of my life doing what I do as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, with allowing the body to work, being our slogan under our main side, this is the understanding that we need to have, because we don't have a side to take on health. There isn't a side to take on health. What does the body do? We need an understanding of what the body does. And if it can do that, great. If it's not allowed to, what can we do to allow it to work? There you go. What does the body need? How much does it need? Exercise, hydration, food, sunlight, range of motion in the bones and the joints of the body. Where is the normal of all these things, and how can we regulate it? Well, it has to be regulated to be alive. And there's been human beings on the planet since the first one, Adam, and they were alive. They had to be healthy enough for that to be the case. And I understand in a lot of ways we've got longer lifespans in modern day than we did in the past, but that's because of what I'm saying. It's on the low end of unhealthy. We have ways of getting the bodies back to their normal health that we didn't have in the past, but the goal is still just the normal amount of health, the normal regulation of health. There's nothing we need to add to become healthy. We just need to do what we can to remain healthy or get back to a state of health if we've let our bodies go, if you will. If we go for a certain amount of time without taking care of our bodies, they can become very unhealthy. And now we're not becoming healthier, when we get just back to the normal health, we're just getting back to our body's normal healthy workings. That should always remain if we can have them remain. That's the point. Anyway, I love this. I'm just watching this hornet looking thing just fly around. It's kind of cool. I really enjoy watching it, seriously. You know, seeing things you don't see all that often are cool. You know, wildlife like that. Yeah. To me, at least. Anyway. This has been a big video. Lengthwise, it's a long video, but also I've been like so, you know, loud, and you could even say maybe almost over the top in some parts of this video. It's just really fun, you know, to document these things, because this is really what makes us credible. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled That Makes It More Credible, and I mentioned a lot of things that make things more credible than they otherwise would be. All of these video documentations I make as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong. Good, Dante. As much as I like watching this hornet thing, I was just telling you how much that it was not a fun experience for me to get bit or stung by. It was like 2 or 3 of them in about a week a couple years ago. That thing was just hovering right by my ear, like right next to me, so I just kind of stepped away from it. Anyway, each one of these video documentations that I make, it makes us more credible as a company, as a community, as this broad spread thing across the whole earth within this universal human design of human beings. It makes us more credible with our information of what we're really doing under In the Image Clothing Company, because each piece of context, each time we discuss anything any deeper than we had before, now you know what we're saying, why we're saying it, how we understand things, and what we understand every time we make another single piece of documented content like this. That's why there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Content. Well, no, it's titled Context Over Content. The point is the context that's within what we could call our content. It's just about documenting, okay? And just to be clear, right? We're all imperfect, equal human beings who rely on a perfect God. So even if we really know what we're saying and explaining under In the Image Clothing Company, that doesn't mean that we're ever going to say anything perfect, or that we're ever going to understand anything perfect in this life we have. Our entire life, we're imperfect. That's how it works. You know, relying on someone who is perfect is just because you are not. You know, Jesus Christ is perfect, and all of his children, us human beings, are imperfect. But regardless, health is only what it is, okay? So thank you. We'll just discuss it, and we'll discuss it in all aspects of how and what we do, and we have, and we will just continually keep going under In the Image Clothing Company as time progresses. Our team will build. We'll have our building down in St. George, Utah. We'll breed poodles there, you know, our in-person events, and we'll just do things for the health of the planet Earth. The health of the planet Earth? What does that mean? Well, regulating the planet's natural workings. The health of the human body? What does that mean? Well, as we've said in this video, regulating the human body's natural workings. That's the point. There's no opinion to it. It's just going to do what it's going to do. Let's help it because we live in a crazy world, man. Slippery flat flooring that doesn't allow our feet to grip arches, you know, these man-made flooring types, tile and wood and, you know, stuff like this. Unnaturally flat products that we use with our hands when our hands are only rounded. They work around our thumbs, you know. The texture that's just lacking in so many man-made things that's just naturally there in nature for our muscles to grip and activate, you know. There's a lot of videos I could reference about a lot of these things under In the Image Clothing Company. Gosh, here's the thing, right? We have... Oh, shoot. Just so much different in modern day. And our bodies just can't work naturally. So if we're trying to approach health, the only way you can approach health is knowing how the body naturally works. The only way you can approach health is knowing how God designed the human being. We can get so far removed from it in our modern man-made societies, and our bodies are just unhealthy. Our bodies just aren't working because our bodies just aren't working. In an environment something's not designed to work in, it just doesn't work well in it. It's like a car. Let's keep talking about this. It's a documentation. You make a car, and the car gets built at a factory, you know, like a vehicle, an automotive machine made by human beings. It gets made at a factory that's at sea level, right? A lower elevation on the earth than somewhere else. At sea level is like the ocean's level, where the water runs down to. Now, this car being made here doesn't work so well if you take it up to a really high place. Well, like the state of Utah here, we're on the Rocky Mountain range. We've got relatively high elevation here, like actually top to bottom, like from the center of the earth up, you know, Earth's gravity wise, top to bottom. The car's not going to work very well at a high elevation if it was designed to work at a low elevation. If it was built, manufactured, and put together at a low elevation, you take it to somewhere it wasn't designed to work well, it's not going to work very well. The human being is designed to work by God on the natural earth that has always been here since before the first human being. Now you take this human being and you have this modern man-made world that you place it in. The human being's not designed to work in this modern man-made world. The lighting's unnatural, the flooring underneath our feet is unnatural, the things we use with our hands are unnatural, even the air gets circulated or not as naturally circulated as it would in the wild. The wild, sure, but in nature, you know, I mean, things are just different. So these are unhealthy places for the human being to just inhabit to begin with. This is a body of flesh and bone and blood. It is just literally earth. It only can, has, and ever will do what it does. There's no getting it healthy. There's just regulating the body's natural health. And that's very hard to do in a modern man-made world. This is why people are so, well, first off, just out of touch with a healthy body individually in modern day, 2026 and going forth. Today's the 9th of April. This is in the Image Clothing Company's main side, right? What does it mean to be healthy? But not only this, you know, people just being, people are just so far removed from what it means to be healthy. So out of touch with what it means for their bodies to work. So many people's feet just can't possibly grip an arch. And that's how we stabilize our entire bodies, because on a flat floor, there's no texture for the feet to grip. I'm standing on these rocks and dirt, you know, these little pieces of gravel, if you will, just this natural earth. My feet can just grip the ground. I'm in barefoot shoes. I'm specifically wearing, just for credit because they're awesome, the Zero Shoes branded Denver leather boots. But like I said, the term zero drop in any brand of shoe, just flat on the bottom. My feet right now are gripping the ground. That's how my body is able to breathe, and my arms can move, and my shoulders can activate, and I can speak with my jaw. This is what it means to be healthy. It's unhealthy already. All opinions aside, for the human being to just be on flat flooring that's man-made without texture for the feet to grip. And then we talk about the hands gripping. And then, like I'm saying, you know, the ways that our things are purified, our waters and our, well, when I say waters, water through the public system of the waterways, and the food, the way that it's preserved or dehydrated, which is a form of preservation, but then anything preservatives added to the food, or colorings, flavorings, anything unnatural added to the food, these things are unhealthy to begin with before we could address any other things specifically within the human being to try to get any specific part of the human being healthy. The human being has to be fueled by food that will naturally bring health to the body. Lubricated by water that's natural from the earth that will just naturally lubricate the body in a healthy way. I mean, there's no approach to this. Why people talk in modern day about how nature's so healthy, and they don't really understand it all that fully or thoroughly. Currently, you know, certain people will say things like, well, I just feel better when I'm outside sometimes. It's nice to get outside. I like to go on walks. Or, you know, people will talk about children in schools, and they'll say the children pay attention better and they learn better when they go out for recess and they get to go outside for a while and then come back in. The reason why this is because it's the truth that the body was designed by God to work only in the environment that it can naturally, which is the natural earth. And we've got these modern man-made societies. You've got kids spending days and days in school classrooms in a man-made building, breathing the same recycled air, sitting in unnatural positions on the chairs they're in, eating food that's just mass-produced and unnatural for the children's body anyway. You've got human beings in adult societies working in businesses and places where they're at a desk job, and all these unhealthy things again, the food and the liquid, the air, the flooring, the positioning they're sitting in or just working in for the majority of the day, the clothing that is placed on their body for the majority of their entire lifetime. All of these things are already unnatural and unhealthy for the human being. And then we could try to look at health as a separate thing and try to focus on what it could mean to get the human being healthy. This is what I mean under In the Image Clothing Company. This is what we do, and this is why I'm yelling, because I'm passionate as much as I am about this, because it's the truth. You can never get the body to do anything, but when you take it out of its natural environment, where it's literally made from, literally, factually, only what we have eaten is what becomes the human being, and that's just natural earth. We take our bodies out of nature and we put them into our man-made societies. It's already unhealthy in so many ways. You can never try to possibly approach health if you don't first understand what the human being is. Then we just allow the body to work. In the Image Clothing Company's main side slogan, allowing the body to work. I stand here and I scream about stuff, and I'll be doing this the rest of my life because this is the truth. You've got all of these ideas on health. Just what does it mean for the body to work? That's all it does. So let's allow the body to work. But we have to have an understanding first. We just get misled. We just get misled, man. Me personally too, until I was about 24 years old, a couple years ago from today's date, the 9th of April 2026, I didn't know most of this stuff that we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company. I didn't. We just don't know, man. But there's also just no approach. There's just no opinion. There's just nothing that will ever change about the human being. Only the things the human beings change about our lives. That's the only thing that happens. Matter's not being created. Matter's not being destroyed. Nature's still being nature. Us as human beings, we're altering things, including our own bodies. A healthy body just means a body that can work. A lot of bodies aren't working in modern 2026 and going forth. It's just going to get worse. So that's what it really means to be healthy. Is just know what's going on in life. I'm not talking down on anyone, but it's also just none of my choices. That's the point. This was always the same and always will be. This is Jesus Christ. This is the truth. The same yesterday, today, and forever. Okay, just always, man. There's just only one way the human body could ever work. All right, what it really means to be healthy, well, there's a lot of discussion. We're over 2 hours, 15 minutes into this video, and I'm glad that it's this long, because this is a video that'll last forever, because this is always the case. All right, so anyway. We just discuss things deeply under In the Image Clothing Company, and we'll be here doing this as long as I'm alive, at least, because I'm the founder. And these are the reasons why. I don't have a startup company. I don't have some kind of hopes or dreams for something to happen with this. We're just speaking truth. Truth is always valid. Yeah. Thank you.